Hello everyone, welcome in this new presentation. This is going to be theme 3, part 1 in theme 3. In this new theme, in theme 3, we will cover a new stage in research methodology. Basically, we will cover a new important stage in the research process, that is the literature review. In this part 1, we'll talk about 3 main points. First, we will talk about the meaning of literature review. Next, we will see the need of literature review. Why do we need a literature review? And third point in this part 1 of this theme 3, it will be about the objectives of literature review. Before I start talking about the contents of these 3 points, let me first say that give an overview on this topic, that is the literature review. Previously, we presented and discussed the research problem. Of course, we said that a research problem is very crucial in any research investigation. Why? Simply because any research study, any research investigation should start by a problem. Now, having identified a problem, having chosen a researchable problem, there is a need now to look for other similar studies that have been done on the same topic, research topic. In this case, we need to carry out a comprehensive and informative and critical literature review. A literature review means to read about the previous studies similar to the research topic that you are going to research, or the research problem that you are going to research, which means to see what others have done on the same research topic. Of course, this stage is, from the beginning, we say it's very important. Why it's important? Because if research starts by a problem, it's very crucial. Generally, we say that the literature review is the mother of research. Why it is the mother of research? Simply because it feeds your research. It can help you to enlighten your research work, your research topic, your research problem. It will strengthen your research study. It will feed your research work. It will give you things that maybe you have not thought of them regarding your research work. So this is an overview on the research, this research stage, that is the literature review. More explanation, more description, more discussion about the literature review of any research study will be presented in this theme 3, and in its 3 parts. This is going to be part 1. Let's start now talking about the meaning of literature review. And let's read what is written on this slide. Let's read the first statement. We can read, literature review is to identify all the relevant published material in the problem area. Second statement, literature review is not a mere compilation of available information similar to the research problem. Next statement, literature review is a critical review of this information. And the last statement on this slide is as follows, literature review identifies as clearly as possible the researcher's positioning towards the previous studies on her research topic. Now, let's summarize in a few sentences what is written on this slide in these statements. The first idea that is mentioned in these statements is about that what literature review is. It is a relevant published material, which means it's about the previous studies on the research, the same research topic. This is now very obvious. We all know it. Now, what is important in literature review is to consider that literature review is not simply to collect the previous to collect information from the previous studies. Rather, there should be an important characteristic. Generally, we refer to this characteristic by critical literature review or criticality. What does it mean, critical literature review? That means here the researcher, he has to be very critical. That means he has to show what is common among the studies, the previous studies. what is not common. He has to identify if there are any gaps in these studies. He has also to show where some studies have failed, if of course they have failed. And he has to also to show, for example, the flaws that may be noticed in some of these studies. Of course, his or her work will cover these gaps, or this gap, or these flaws, or this flaw, or these shortcomings, or this shortcoming. This is going to be something interesting in any research study, which means, in other words, it's not only to compile, to gather, to collect previous information from previous studies. There is something else in addition to the criticality or the critical literature review. It's when you have to show these gaps or shortcomings or these flaws. It's there that it's what we refer to it in methodology by the researchers positioning towards the previous studies. That means, in other words, it's the answer to that question: where does your study stand among all these previous studies? It's when you locate yourself within these studies, your study can have a certain contribution. So again, we insist on two important characteristics that are, on one hand, the need for a very critical literature review, and second one, it is the research positioning within the previous studies. Now, let's answer the question: why do we need to carry out and to conduct a literature review when doing any research study? First answer to that question, or first answer, is as follows. The literature review, or any literature review, helps to know more about your research work, or the research work done previously in the same research area. Of course, it will give you insights about what has been done regarding the similar studies that have been done on the same research topic. Also, it helps to up-to-date the available information. Up-to-date. Sometimes a literature review can up-to-date something maybe that has not been known for you before. Sometimes it helps you to eliminate what is not said to be unnecessary replication. Sometimes some researchers, they may do something, replicate it, or duplicate. I prefer to use the word duplicate, because replication and duplication, they bear two different senses. Replication sometimes has a positive sense. Duplication, generally, it has a negative sense in research. I'm talking about research, in research. So when there is a need or when you see that there is some duplication, here in this case, the researcher may eliminate it, and there is no need to use it or to do it. And finally, it helps to provide new sources on the researcher problem. Of course, when you read about other similar studies, previous studies, you will read about other sources that have been, let's say, used by other researchers, and this will help you to get additional sources that may help you in your research study. Now, what are the objectives of literature review? A literature review. First, it provides theories. It provides also ideas. Also, it provides explanations or hypotheses, which may prove useful in the formulation of the refinement of research problem. Also, it provides the sources for hypotheses. The research can formulate research hypotheses on the basis of the available studies. Another objective of a literature review, it provides a ground on which the researcher can get inspired on the relevant research methodology for her study. And finally, as an objective of a literature review, the literature review can provide you with conclusions drawn in relation to studies that have been done before. That means, in brief terms, we can say that the objectives of literature review It can give you new ideas about your research work. It can show you some theories that may help you in your research study. It can give you some explanations. Sometimes you get inspired from the hypotheses formulated in previous studies in order to formulate your hypotheses. Sometimes it helps you to refine your research study. Sometimes it can give you an inspiration to what methodology you can opt for when conducting your research study. And sometimes, especially when it comes to the conclusions drawn from previous studies or in the previous studies, they can give you insights what to do in your research work. So let's say that from these objectives of any literature review, we can see that the importance, the crucial role of literature review in any investigation. That's why we urge any research, especially novice research, especially master students, to consider literature and to carry out a very critical, very, let's say, informative, comprehensive literature review. So literature review is a very crucial stage in any research investigation, in any research study. That's all about this presentation. Thank you very much, Eddie.